Ofentse Pitse, the first black South African woman to own and lead an all-black orchestra, is pioneering a force in the classical world. Hailing from Amapiano, Pretoria, she developed her musical passion in the vibrant streets of her hometown.
So my journey in conducting really started organically because as a young girl, I was involved in the church, right? So my family was always there. So I needed to look for something to do during their meetings and their gatherings. So I decided to actually join the church band. So I was taught how to play the C scale when I was 12 years old on a Tuesday afternoon, and the rest was history. So my love for classical music, weirdly enough, right, it started from soul music. So my mom would take me to these kitchen parties that she would attend with her closest friends, right? So I would hear, the Commodores, the Spinners, Fighting Temptation, Aretha Franklin. So in those music arrangements, I would hear a bit of orchestra, a bit of band. So I believe that intrinsically I soaked up those sounds. And then when I evolved as a young girl, I was like, oh, this is what it's called. So these are orchestras, these are arrangements. And then before I knew it, I had a big love for orchestras and opera. And I think honestly, it started when I was a baby, attending my mom's kitchen parties, honestly.
What started out as a hobby became a passion and has since evolved into a quest for increased representation of young black people in classical and choral music.
So what conducting entails, it's actually 60% leadership, 40% music knowledge. So as a conductor, you need to be able to lead a pack of musicians, right? Because you have all of these people that have various instruments that are well learned as well, right? That know their stuff. So as a person who stands in front of them, you're actually directing the flow of the music, you're directing the pulse of the music, you're directing how the audience experiences the music. So as a leader, you need to know how to, number one, assert yourself in that space, and number two, know what each and every person is doing. So it's literally like running a company as a CEO. So that's what I'm saying. It's really 60% leadership and 40% music knowledge. My mentor has been Gerben Grooten, who is the former head of music of the University of Pretoria, and he's one of the best conductors that we have in Africa, and he's well traveled. He's actually from Holland, right? And what he taught me, or how he coached me, was in such a way that he never saw me as just a girl. So we did the difficult music, your Tchaikovskys, your Stravinskys, your Shostakovich. So what that did is that it made me want to be the best conductor, period, not just the best female conductor. So that mentoring really propelled me into the heights that I benefit from today.
Under the mentorship of leading conductors, she's transitioned from a musician to a conductor and owner of Anchored Sound, a 40-piece all-black orchestra.
Owning my own orchestra, again, it was very organic, right? So all of these things was me workshopping or meeting with my closest friends who are from church, and I was like, oh, let's meet on Saturday and just jam. So it started with the choir, and I just got a bunch of classically trained young people to meet on Saturday, and then while at that rehearsal, I imagined instruments. So I was like, do you guys know people who play instruments? They're like, yeah, we'll bring them next Saturday. So next Saturday, it was a bunch of people taking out their trumpets and their brass instruments. And then I was like, do you guys have, context to people who play strings and stuff? Next Saturday we had strings, and then following to that, I was like, okay, do you guys know people who play like flute and stuff? So by the third time that we had rehearsal, I was like, shucks, there are 19 musicians taking out their instruments. Now I need to know how to conduct. So this journey has been really organic, and it's kind of like it chose me before I chose it, because I had to just really level up and rise to the occasion when it happened.
The king of Amapiano, Kabza the Small, has teamed up with Ofentse for the first ever Red Bull Symphonic in South Africa. This will bring modern style music of Amapiano and blend it with classical music of a 33-piece orchestra.
Red Bull Symphonic presents Kabza the Small and Ofentse Pitse was such an important project, which I feel intrinsically, now when I look at everything coming together, I feel like this project chose us before we chose it, because you can imagine two worlds that are totally different. You have the world of Amapiano, that is to music purists, to people who consume orchestra and consume classical music. They're like, this is monotonous, like we can't create music from these sounds. And you have me, myself and Kabza coming together and bringing out the magic really energy in his songs. But not just that, also reinstilling the importance that we should have in the things that we create, because Amapiano is the biggest export right now in South Africa. So Amapiano to the world, I believe that this project is such an important project to have in this time, in this era, to celebrate really 30 years of where we've come from. So in various eras in South Africa, there's been music that has been iconic. You know, we had bubblegum, we had kwaito, we had deep house. So right now we are celebrating the kwaito, the Amapiano era, right, which is influenced by kwaito and deep house. So this project, I would like to say that there is no expectation. People should walk in there with no expectation. There are music purists who are going to hear some references from Bach, from Mozart, from Shostakovich, and then there's people who love piano who hear that lock drum, like the synth, all those organic sounds that come from the genre. So they will hear a lot of things that they don't expect at the highest level, honestly.
This orchestra prides itself in creating a high-level experiences to audience with no exposure to orchestra music, taking Kabza the Small's iconic songs such as Kusela and Imithandazo and transitioning them into a masterpiece.